Will the real pro-life movement please stand up? Today, we examine President Trump's statement, the Arizona Supreme Court ruling, and public reaction. Here's the point. There was no more disappointing news than the statement on Monday from former President Trump, the presumptive Republican nominee, as candidate for president, speaking to his longtime supporters and potential voters on his official position concerning abortion and IVF in the 2024 election cycle. First, what was in the statement and why was it controversial? In a 4-minute video released on Monday, President Trump reassured the public that he values life and that he wants to promote policies that support American families and make it easier for mothers to have babies. The president was quick to affirm IVF and the availability of fertility treatments in all 50 states. He then heaped praise on Alabama for passing legislation to make IVF available. And that is not insignificant for a policy position. A recent special election in Alabama's 10th House District flipped a seat from Republican to Democrat on the issue of abortion and IVF alone. It does matter where you land on the issue of abortion, even in deep red Alabama, even in 2024. Taking a turn, the president then reminded the public that he proudly ended Roe v. Wade, something conservatives and many legal scholars through the years agreed needed to go. By contrast, Trump stated clearly that Democrats are radical on abortion, including late-term and post-birth abortion, which he referred to as execution. While Democrats might dispute that characterization, no one can dispute the policy difference between Republicans and Democrats on paper when it comes to abortion. But here is where the controversy entered into the fray. Trump backed off a previous promise to pro-life and conservative supporters concerning a nationwide ban on abortion at 20 or even 15 weeks. This is something he already promised to sign if it hit his desk. Trump backed off that statement and said that it should ultimately be a matter for states to decide. He also said that just like Ronald Reagan, he favored exceptions for abortion like rape, incest, or the life of the mother. To close his argument, he said, "You must follow your heart, your religion, or your faith. Abortion is a matter of the will of the people. People must vote on this issue at the state level." President Trump also made clear the implications of this policy position by saying, "You must win elections in order to restore our culture and to save our country." Winning the election this fall was really the closing argument that formed the entire basis of his public statement in the first place. Just as Joe Biden is trying very hard to curry votes with factions of his own party who don't support Israel and have far more radical policy demands, Donald Trump also faces a challenge with independent and suburban women who are not pro-life and want abortion legal on some level. That is politics as usual. This statement should be seen as a pragmatic approach to politics and not to principles. The public backlash following the statement was swift and it was necessary. Longtime pro-life organizations, conservative leaders, and pundits all registered their criticism for Trump's statement. Other moderate voices who have never really been principled on the issue of life were openly supportive and perhaps relieved that this statement seemed far more practical and put victory in November that much closer. There is no question that the statement will have an impact with conservatives and religious voters in the fall. Perhaps even some may stay home or vote for another candidate. The promise to expand IVF treatment is hardly a consolation for those seeking to end abortion. Virtually no pro-life organization committed to a consistent ethical framework for life at conception supports current IVF treatments on the same grounds for which they oppose abortion. Adding to this controversy, the Arizona Supreme Court ruled on Tuesday to uphold an anti-abortion law that dates all the way back to the Civil War. This ruling could enact ballot measures in Arizona for the upcoming presidential election. Arizona Attorney General Chris Maez was quick to promise no woman or doctor will be prosecuted under this draconian law that was an affront to freedom, while former gubernatorial candidate and current Republican Senate candidate Carrie Lake was quick to distance herself, saying, "I oppose today's ruling," adding, "I wholeheartedly agree with President Trump." Whether you agree or disagree with former President Donald Trump, his public statement is already shaping Republican policy on life and abortion in 2024. Regardless, it is important to remember, on the other side is the current President Joe Biden, who has already promised federal protections on abortion in all 50 states. There are currently 15 states that have a ban on abortion and up to 25 states that have restrictions. President Joe Biden would erase all those bans if a Democratic-controlled Congress were to successfully pass legislation. It also cannot be overstated how the current Biden Justice Department has weaponized the FACE Act to go after pro-life advocates who hold prayer vigils on sidewalks outside of abortion clinics. The obvious bad news in this week's announcement is that there are no principled pro-life candidates in this election between President Joe Biden, independent candidate Robert Kennedy Jr., and former President Donald Trump. But among the three candidates, only one candidate in this race was responsible for appointing 3 Supreme Court justices who struck down Roe v. Wade. Neither Reagan, Bush I, nor Bush II were successful in nominating consistent justices on the issue of Roe. And this is the legacy Donald Trump will always have in the pro-life movement. So how should Christians think about this? Here's the point. Christians must hold to the supremacy of Christ in all things. Our loyalty isn't to a party or to a candidate, but to Christ alone, and life is non-negotiable. Let's be clear, abortion is never medically necessary, and an innocent baby that is conceived in rape or incest should not be killed for a crime that it did not commit. A person is always a person, no matter how small. Dr. Seuss taught us that. Yes, Christians must work to protect life and advance those protections. I want to make clear that I'm not endorsing any candidate in this presidential race, but Christians already know the 3 candidates and what they have said. More importantly, what they have done and what they will do on the issue of life. Christians must apply a sense of biblical realism, using wisdom and judgment in making their decisions. This includes proposed policies with all 3 candidates in this race and their lasting impact. Naivety is not an option when considering life and death. It is time for real pro-life advocates to stand up. Hey, did you like that video? I hope you did. Please like and subscribe and share with a friend. Also, go to standingforfreedom.com where you can find more content, articles, podcasts, and our Theology of Politics series, all at standingforfreedom.com.